As the skies just moves from one kind of white or grey mass to another. Thank you for the invitation. This is my first visit to Lockport. I hope not the last, and look forward to meeting you more fully after the service. The reading I'd like to speak from is in 2 Corinthians chapter 9. This is on page 183 in your New Testament, and you have it there. 2 Corinthians 9, I'm going to bring it at verse 6. It seems especially appropriate for what I'm going to speak about, which I'm sure you'll get soon. Paul writes, "The point is this, the one who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and the one who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that by always having enough of everything, you may share abundantly in every good work. As it is written, he scatters abroad, he gives to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. He who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way for your great generosity, which will produce thanksgiving to God through us. For the rendering of this ministry not only supplies the needs of the saints, but also overflows with many thanksgivings to God. Through the testing of this ministry, you glorify God by your obedience to the confession of the gospel of Christ, and by the generosity of your sharing with them and with all others, while they long for you and pray for you because of the surpassing grace of God that he has given you. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift." Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. If there's one thing I'm learning about this church, which is very obvious, now it's how musically gifted it is. We not only have this choir behind us, all looking extraordinarily young and fresh, I might say, and full of zest and joie de vivre and all sorts of other things. Thank you for the anthem. But also the handbell choir, I understand. This is one of the specialties of this place. This morning I'd like to think together about music and the way in which the language of music and the language of gift are often found together. We talk about a gifted singer, a gifted pianist. We hear about musically gifted children. When an 11-year-old eases her way through some horrendously difficult piece by Rachmaninoff, we call her especially gifted, outstandingly gifted, or perhaps just depressingly gifted. A huge amount of music making in the US depends on charitable giving. And think of music teachers, especially in schools. Does anyone teach music here in a school? Or have you in the past? You are a very special person, for all sorts of reasons, I'm sure, but particularly if you're music teaching. Because many of them give of their time far beyond the call of duty. In fact, school music teachers often seem to be programmed that way. They seem to be genetically generous. If you sing or play an instrument, I wouldn't be at all surprised if somewhere in the background lies an inspiring high school teacher who put in weeks of overtime for you and others. I went to school in Edinburgh, Scotland, my hometown, as you've heard. And when I look back to those days, I think of the head of music at that school. He was an eccentric viola player with a bow tie that was always squint. During lunch hours, you wouldn't find him with his feet up recovering from the class he just taught. He'd be giving 4 teenagers a chance to try out a new arrangement. Or again, I think of the hundreds of charity concerts that come when disaster is in the news, after an earthquake or after a refugee crisis. Musicians giving their time generously and freely so that others will give generously. Why this constant link between music and giving, or music and gift? I think a large part of it is just because, at one level at least, music is unnecessary, just like a gift. You give a gift not because you have to, because you want to. In the same way, there's no have to about music. On one level, it's fantastically unnecessary, just like any gift. Take making music. No one knows quite why people first started making music or singing. Some scientists believe it evolved to help us find mates, that the first songs were designed to melt the heart of a potential partner. But no scientist believes music was necessary in any hard sense. No one's saying it was necessary for biological survival. You don't need music the way you need food, water, and shelter. If you had no music for a week, you might get a little down, a little depressed possibly, but you would carry on breathing and living. And no one's saying it's absolutely necessary for worship. When you gather each Sunday here, you sing, yes, with choir, organ, handbells. But I expect there are some services happening here that don't use much music, and perhaps no music at all. There are some organists around who will tell you that without music, the Holy Spirit just won't show up, and God won't be interested. But actually, we don't have to make music to worship God. We may want to, but we don't have to. And even with those who are paid to make music, it's unlikely they went into it because they had to, because this was perhaps the only way of making money. There are much quicker ways to make money. At the deepest level, people go into the music business, music of any sort, not because they have to, but because they want to. In fact, you could say the best music is made when people just want to. I used to teach the piano, and I had a number of young pupils, and I remember well that magic moment when, after telling Sally, say, to practice up to bar 20, she'd come along next week, and I'd find she'd explored that magic land beyond bar 20. All on her own. She didn't have to, but suddenly she wanted to. And that's when she turned into a real musician. Not only making music, the same goes for listening to music. We don't have to listen to music. Yes, you may have an iPhone or an MP3 player or a CD player or whatever, and you like to have music on. But there aren't many of us who would say we just have to listen to music, that life would grind to a halt without music. It's not a legal requirement anywhere, as far as I know. I don't think anyone's yet been arrested for refusing to listen to Lady Gaga. And of course, it's just this that makes raising money for music so hard. It seems so unnecessary. A lot of our school education these days is dominated by the sciences and technology, because you obviously need these things. Or by business studies, how to make money quickly. But who needs music? You can say that music relieves stress. You can say it creates some jobs. Yeah, it keeps kids off the streets. Okay. You can even remind people of the Mozart effect. You know what the Mozart effect is? They have shown if you play Mozart to people, when the music stops, their IQ will have risen by about 10%, and that lasts about half an hour, and then it drops off again. Try it when you get home. But you know, there are much faster ways of increasing your IQ, much cheaper ways as well. Much faster ways of doing all these things. Most people make music not because they're aware of having to, or because they're trying to get something else done through it, but because they want to. And isn't that why talk about music and talk about giving so often go together? We give a gift not because we have to, but because we want to. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a gift. Maybe then, music itself is a gift. One of those things we didn't have to have, but something someone wanted us to have. Maybe it's a powerful reminder in this world of the giver with a capital G, God himself. And when someone puts a gift in your hand, the first thing you usually say is, thank you. That's why I've chosen this reading from 2 Corinthians. Make no mistake, here Paul is after money. Do you have someone like that here in First Presbyterian? Is there someone who deals with that? A director of giving or stewardship? Someone who, the minute you see them, you just feel slightly guilty. You know that kind of person? Do you have such a person here? I'm sure not. Maybe the pastor does all this. He or she is always on the hunt for what they call a financial opportunity, which translated means your money. Well, the Apostle Paul is on the hunt for money for a struggling church in Jerusalem. But what's interesting about the way he does it, he wants them to give money not because they're going to feel they have to, but because they want to. And to do that, he reminds them that's how God works. He reminds them about a God of surpassing grace, as he puts it. A God who created this universe and flung stars into space, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. A God who shaped humans out of the dust of the earth, not because he needed to, but because he wanted to have his love returned. A God who didn't have to supply our needs, like food, water, and shelter, but because he wanted to supply us, as Paul puts it here, with every blessing in abundance. A God who came to meet us in Jesus Christ, not because he had to, but because he wanted to heal the rift that had opened up between us. A God who didn't have to bring us here this morning. You didn't have to come here this morning. But God did bring you here because your company is precious to God. Just let that sink in. You didn't have to be here this morning. A God to whom our first words will always be words of gratitude. And just as gift leads to thanks, Paul says, so thanks leads to more giving. Generosity breeds generosity. As God has given you so much, says Paul, how can you help but give to that cash-strapped church in Jerusalem? Let me take you to a town in Germany in 1647, a town called Potsdam, where King Frederick II lives. One night, the king welcomes a composer called J.S. Bach. And the king feasts him. He gives him the welcome of his life. And as the evening is drawing to the close, the king gives Bach a theme to extemporize. Bach looks at the theme and plays it. And then, after a pause, he plays it again, and then improvises a giant piece of music called a fugue. A fugue is a very, very complex and difficult bit of music. Improvises on the spot. And that's only the first 60 seconds. Goes on for about 7 or 8 minutes. On the spot. A few days later, that's not enough, for a few days later, Bach sings the king 2 more fugues, 10 canons, and a sonata for violin and flute, all on the same theme, and doesn't even charge him. Today we call this collection of pieces a musical offering. It was Bach's offering, Bach's gift to the king. It is utterly ridiculous. It's crazy. It's far, far too much, beyond anything that the king could have expected. But he's been so touched by the king's hospitality, he wants to give something back even better. And Bach is also aware that he's exceptionally talented. And when you've been given much, what else can you do but give outlandishly? Not because you have to. Because you're not under compulsion, remember Paul? but because you want to. Generosity breeds generosity. Not only that, Paul says, you will be enriched in your giving. You will be enriched spiritually in your giving. That is, when you give, you will become more fully the person you're meant to be. Remember, you and I are made in the image of God. And God, by his very nature, is a giving God, the supreme giver. When we give generously, we become more truly the people we were always meant to be. Think for a moment of a string on the piano. Just that note. When it's struck by a hammer, it becomes more fully the string it was created to be, as it gives its sound away to you. It was made to give its sound away and becomes more fully itself when it does so. This is a kind of giving where the giver doesn't contract, but expands in the giving. Not only that, think of what happens when one string sets off another. I think I can probably do on this instrument. And those with very good hearing in the front, who've not killed their ears with rock music in their teenage years, will pick this up. I take this string and I open it up. That is, I take the damper off the string so it's free to vibrate. I do that by pressing the key very slowly. So this string is now free to vibrate. If I strike the string one octave below, can you hear that? I didn't play that string. It was set off by the lower string. The more the lower string gives itself away, the more the upper string gives itself away. The more the upper string becomes the string it was created to be. The more God is involved in your life, the more you will become the person you were created to be. God is not out to dehumanize you, but rehumanize you. And the basic way we do that is by giving. And of course, other strings will be set off. We can probably set off all these other strings. Let's see what else we can do. You hear all that? I didn't play those strings. They've been set off. Strings in the vicinity will be set off. This is an expanding movement of generosity. In principle, unstoppable, spreading into the world. The world outside will not make sense of this, since it seems so stupendously unnecessary to give generously. We're not in that kind of world, clearly. Okay. There's something else here, though, in this passage, a darker colour running through these words. Again, I think music can help us uncover it. Think for a minute of what goes into a first-class performance. You sit with a choir like this when they sing. Occasionally, dare I say, you'll see the odd flicker of anxiety. The pinprick memories of painful moments in a rehearsal, perhaps, knowing glances, little signatures of stress and struggle. Or the handbell choir. I'm sure it is an oasis of perfect harmony, but occasionally there might be some struggles, right? And some anxieties in the rehearsals. You will notice that probably, particularly when someone makes a mistake and start giving each other looks. Or next time you flick a switch in your CD player or tap your iPhone, spare a thought for the sweat that went into that recording. Giving is costly. Behind all music making lie hours of slog, 5 hours practice on just 3 bars. Conductors dragging bleary-eyed trumpeters out of bed on Saturday morning. Temper outbursts in rehearsals. Good ideas dumped as time runs out. And as the concert comes closer, or the service, or whatever it is. They say a major concert takes a couple of weeks off a performer's life. Probably. There's a kind of dying behind all music making. Of course, we who enjoy the show, we don't think about that. We really don't want to know that. And we don't sit too close to the performers, or you might see the sweat. No. We like the finished product. But it's not easy for the artist, nor for God. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. When Paul writes that, of course, he's not thinking of music. He's talking about the gift which makes sense of every other gift, the extreme gift, the excessive gift, a death, no less. And what other kind of gift would do? For as we know, this world that God has made, a lot of the time, is not a showcase of glorious, generous harmony. It's marred by meanness and dissonance, a world where the mugger grabs what he can from the senior in her front drive, where the neighborhood bully robs the Muslim shopkeeper, where the rich sees the food on the table while the Syrian child gasps just for a drink of water, where the man in the orange jumpsuit is beheaded on the internet. A world that often seems genetically ungenerous, so much so that it kills people, this ungenerosity, in their hundreds and thousands. So what does God do? God in his Son plunges right into the dissonance of the world, plunges right into its meanness and malice. He takes the greed and hatred and revenge right onto himself and into himself, dying under its force and bearing it away forever. This is what the cross is about, the ultimate gift. And he does this so we can start to be free, truly free, free to be the people we were meant to be. Free, indeed, to be generous for the sake of others and out of love for others. Free to give time to that family member we never noticed before. Free to face our worst enemy and be prepared to embrace them. Free to give. Some of you may have seen Polanski's film, The Pianist. We're in the ruins of Warsaw toward the end of the war, and a German officer stumbles across a starving Polish Jew, a Nazi officer stumbling across a starving Jew. He's within a whisker of shooting him. Then the Jew struggles to a piano. He's a professional pianist. And with frozen fingers, barely able to breathe, he manages to play Chopin on the clapped-out old keys. A gift that costs almost everything. The German soldier, the Jew hater, is spellbound. And the next day, the soldier returns with some bread and his own coat. Freed momentarily from the racism that has ruled his life for a decade. Freed to give. Don't thank me, the film you might remember. Don't thank me, says the officer as he leaves. Thank God. Yes, thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. Of course, we don't have to, but we might want to. As we're seated, let us pray. Dear God, you are the glorious giver. You are a communion of life. Father, Son, and Spirit, it is in your nature to give. Yet we have turned mean and malicious, tight-fisted and fearful. In your cross you have given us new hope. By your Spirit, make that hope live in us this day. Free us to be the people we were meant to be. For we ask it in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.